There's news today about government reform and about, or rather, the optics of reform. And the question is whether we're witnessing something genuine, a genuine attempt to cut bureaucratic fat, or merely an illusion of sleight of hand. So Keir Starmer's Cabinet Office has announced a bold culling of 2,100 roles out of 6,500, almost a third set to disappear. The savings aim for £110 million by 2028. At face value, this sounds like a commendable rationalisation, but as always in Whitehall, the devil is in the redeployment in the detail. Because we've seen this play before, most recently in the NHS, when Wes Streeting announced that NHS England would be abolished. One might have assumed that a bloated managerial edifice was being dismantled, but what actually has occurred is a quiet absorption into the Department of Health. Redundancies were promised, 9,000 of them, but were these true job losses or merely reclassifications? Because in the contracts for NHS England, it's not possible to make somebody redundant. They have to be given another opportunity to do their job elsewhere. So this is the civil service equivalent of hiding vegetables under the mashed potatoes. It looks palatable from the outside, but the substance remains unchanged. And in the Cabinet Office, for example, of the 2,100 cuts, nearly half, that's 900 staff, are to be shuffled off to other departments. So is this downsizing, or is this a logistical rebranding of the same workforce? In principle, a leaner, more strategic Cabinet Office is desirable. The Permanent Secretary, Cat Little, has been blunt. The department has become a catch-all dumping ground of policy problems no other department wished to own, and from that perspective, pruning back makes sense. Yet there is a distinction, a crucial one, between reform and reduction. Reform implies intention, design and vision. Reduction alone can simply be sabotage by stealth. As Lucille Thrilby of the FDA Union astutely remarks, ministers will need to be honest about what the government will stop doing as a result of these cuts. That honesty, we might note, is in short supply. Politically, it's clever. Starmer can trumpet fiscal prudence, claiming he's trimming fat while investing in frontline services, a few more bobbies on the beat, an extra GP appointment here or there, but it's worth asking whether this is anything more than rearranging deck chairs on the Whitehall Titanic. And let's not forget the civil service has grown by 34% since 2016. This isn't just the pandemic's legacy, it reflects the bloated state that Brexit created as departments scrambled to fill legislative and regulatory vacuums. One might argue this growth was a necessary evil. But if this is now the moment to reshape the state, then the first question must be into what? The reality is this: slimming down the civil service cannot work without clarity on function. Otherwise, what we risk is not savings, but shell games. Jobs may move on paper, but the structures, the processes, and yes, the inefficiencies simply remain. They just get sort of hidden or moved around. We must also consider morale. Constant restructuring, unclear remits, a culture of institutional fragility breeds not excellence but inertia and depression. If you're told your department is to be downsized or relocated every other year, do you invest emotionally or intellectually in the task, or do you become a passenger in a system that prizes agility over clarity? The Cabinet Office reform sounds serious. And it sounds grown up, and it sounds mature. It might even sound necessary. It might even be necessary. But it will only succeed if it's more than cosmetic. Moving staff to another department is not a redundancy, it's an accounting trick. And true reform demands not only a smaller civil service, but a better civil service, one with purpose, direction and coherence. Otherwise, we'll find ourselves back here again in 5 years, applauding the next great cull, wondering why nothing ever really changes. And that is not reform. That is bureaucracy hiding under bureaucracy, or, if you prefer, spinach disguised as shepherd's pie.